welcome to Little Learners. Today I want to talk about attendance and why I believe we should not be rewarding children for having high attendance. Before we get started, don't forget to click that like button during the video if you find it interesting, and click the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video, and of course to be part of the Little Learners family. So before we get into why I don't like attendance certificates or attendance rewards, I think it's important to talk about what we mean by high attendance. So attendance across the board, whether it's primary or secondary school, is usually considered high at 95% or above, so 95 to 100% attendance. 95% attendance is roughly 9.5 days off throughout the entire year. 100% attendance obviously is no days off throughout the year. Studies have found that there is certainly a correlation between attendance and achievement. So the more days a child is at school, the more likely they are to achieve higher grades. In fact, one study found that 85% of students in Key Stage 2 achieved the expected level when they had high attendance, compared to only 40% of students who had lower attendance. So of course, it is important to be at school and have good attendance. Often schools will start being concerned when attendance drops under 95%, and certainly when it hits 90 or below. So a lot of schools give attendance certificates at the end of the year or the end of the term, or even a prize or reward for having good attendance, either having 100% attendance or having whatever that school deems to be really good attendance, so maybe 95 and above or 97 and above, something like that. There might be a certificate, or there might even be a pizza party. It really depends on the school. So why do I have such a problem with attendance rewards? I myself at school had many an attendance certificate. Well, there are a lot of problems with this way of thinking. So if we think about primary school children and even some secondary school children, who is their attendance really down to? If a child in year 1 is not coming into school as much as they should do, who isn't bringing them? The child can't bring themselves to school, and so the parents are obviously in charge of the child going to school. My question is, if a child in year 1 has low attendance, do we blame the child for that, or do we look to the parents? This child is too young to be bringing themselves to school, and so why are we rewarding or not rewarding or even punishing young children for not having excellent attendance when actually they don't have a lot to do with it? There are many reasons why a child might be absent from school that they have no control over. One thing that I'm very passionate about is overcoming ableism, and rewarding attendance is extremely ableist. Let me explain. If a child in primary or secondary school has a chronic illness or a disability, some kind of health condition that makes it impossible for them to be at school every single day of the year, they miss out on this achievement, this award. But it has absolutely nothing to do with their want to be at school, their determination to be at school. They might be in school every single day, other than the days that they have hospital appointments or operations. If a child, for example, goes for an operation and is told to take 7 days off afterwards, then they don't get the award. What kind of message is this sending to children? Should we be valuing our time at school or later at work over our own health? Telling a child, no, you cannot have this reward because you have a health condition that affects your ability to be at school, it's absolutely not your fault and you have no control over it, but you still don't get the reward, that doesn't really seem fair. Rewarding high attendance also can discriminate against other groups, so socioeconomic background comes into it. Children from lower income families are less likely to have 100% attendance. That doesn't mean they can't, of course, but there are other barriers and obstacles there. Children with difficult home circumstances, or children with special educational needs that can't be catered for completely at their school. All of these things that are out of the child's control directly affect their attendance. Because of all of these different circumstances, some children are set up to fail by this reward system. One thing that really worries me is that some schools implement a system where the whole class attendance is rewarded. So if one class gets 98% attendance across the board, when you average out all of the attendance in the class, they might be the winners and they get a reward. So what happens then when you have a child in that class who is really bringing down the attendance average? Maybe the whole class is getting really good attendance, but one child who has a health condition that makes it difficult for them to be in school all the time, or a child who is having a very difficult home life and has absolutely no control over what's going on, is bringing that average down through no fault of their own. How will the other children feel when they notice that this child is the one who keeps bringing the average down and ruining their chances of getting this reward? It's really isolating that child or group of children and creating an us and them. I have seen firsthand what happens when children are really upset with another child who they see to be the barrier to them getting the reward. And the child who is doing their best to be at school and has these other circumstances affecting their attendance is ostracised from the rest of the children. They are angry at them because they see them as the problem, when actually, in my opinion, the whole system of attendance rewards is the problem. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, there are children and families who perhaps don't value attendance as much as they perhaps should. I think these families are very few and far between, and there are always reasons for this. And of course, there are older children in secondary school who are perfectly capable of managing their own attendance, but they are missing time or missing classes. And it is imperative that children are in school as much as possible so that they can get all of the knowledge they need. They don't miss out on information that's really important to them, and so that they're able to socialise with their peers. But I don't think that rewarding good attendance is the way to go. We should be encouraging it. We shouldn't have a system where we are rewarding children for being lucky that they didn't get ill and being able-bodied and not disabled and having a condition that means they can't get to school, or having a home life or social circumstances that stop them from being able to get to school as much as they would like to. So I think the original idea of attendance rewards makes sense. You want to reward children and encourage them for being in school, to be in school as much as possible. But when we just think of it like that, that isn't the whole picture. We've got the children who are working really hard, determined to be in school and have really supportive parents, parents who can take them to school and make sure that they're at school every day, children who aren't getting ill or don't have health conditions that stop them from being able to go to school all the time. And then we have all the other children who not only do they have these difficulties that are stopping them from going to school, they're also being guilted or even punished for the result of those, which is not being at school all the time. I'd really love to know your thoughts on this. Are you supportive of attendance rewards? Do you think that we should just be rewarding something else? Do you think that there is a better way to do this? Do you think we should do away with attendance awards altogether and focus on other elements of schooling? So I'd really love to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments below your opinion on this, and even if it's different to mine, I'd love to hear it. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up, as it really helps out the channel, and don't forget to click the subscribe button to join the Little Learners family. Click that bell icon so that you never miss a future video. Don't forget that if you want to talk about anything to do with early education, your child's development, your route into teaching, anything at all, you can book a one-on-one video call with me. Just look at the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.